Hey everyone, ready for something mind-blowing? Today we're taking a deep dive into Character.AI.
Oh, yeah. This is one that'll really get you thinking about the future.
It definitely will. It's a platform that's changing how we interact with, well,
Everything.
yeah, pretty much. Imagine having a conversation with Einstein.
Or brainstorming with an AI version of like your favorite entrepreneur.
Exactly. It's a platform where you can chat with a huge variety of AI characters.
From historical figures to fictional characters to even your own custom creations.
And people are loving it. Over 220 million monthly visits.
Wow, it's huge.
And it's only getting bigger. By 2025,
2025.
it's predicted to have almost 4% of the market share.
So it's not just a fad.
Not at all. But the question is Character.AI really revolutionizing how we communicate?
That's what we're here to find out.
Right. Let's start with the masterminds behind it.
Okay.
Noam Shazir and Daniel DeFreitas.
Former Google engineers.
These guys were instrumental in developing some of the most advanced AI models out there.
But they wanted to create something totally new.
Something that went beyond just giving you answers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They wanted AI that could have real dynamic conversations.
Not just spit out facts.
Right. They wanted to build AI that could understand nuance, context, even emotion.
Wow. So they brought together a team of AI experts, designers, and even psychologists.
Yeah, they knew that to make these AI characters believable.
They had to feel human.
Exactly. It's not just about information, it's about connection.
And that's where things start to get really interesting, because these AI characters can actually remember past conversations.
I know it's kind of creepy, but also kind of cool.
It is, and they can learn your preferences, and they even evolve over time.
So it's not just a one-time chat.
Right. It's more like you're building an ongoing relationship with these AI characters.
Which makes you wonder, are we just projecting our need for connection onto an algorithm?
Exactly. That's the million-dollar question. But how did they even pull this off?
Yeah, the magic of machine learning.
Okay, so break it down for me.
These AI characters are powered by a large language model that's been trained on a massive data set.
Like, how massive are we talking?
Think every book,
Every article.
every website, even social media posts.
Whoa. So they've basically absorbed all of human knowledge.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's both amazing and kind of scary.
I know, right?
But it's what allows these characters to hold such nuanced and spontaneous conversations.
They're not just pulling from a script.
Right. They're drawing on a huge pool of information.
And they're using that information to respond to your prompts, your questions, even your emotional cues.
Okay, I'm starting to understand how it works. But why are people so drawn to it?
Well, there's definitely a fascination with the technology itself.
It is pretty mind-blowing.
But I think there's also a deeper need for connection,
And understanding.
maybe even a sense of belonging.
Especially in a world where social interaction can feel so overwhelming.
Character.AI provides a kind of digital safe haven.
A place where you can experiment and be yourself without fear of judgment. So it's more than just a fun app. It's a platform that's tapping into our deepest needs.
Our need to connect, to express ourselves, and maybe even escape a little.
So where did this all begin? Was Character.AI always this popular?
Well, it launched back in September 2022.
And it quickly gained traction, especially during the pandemic.
Yeah, when so many people were feeling isolated,
It was like Character.AI arrived at just the right moment.
offering a virtual lifeline.
And by 2025, it's become a global phenomenon.
Millions of users all over the world.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So tell me, where is Character.AI making biggest impact?
It's not limited to any one group. It's huge in countries like Japan,
Yeah.
Germany, India, and Brazil.
Wow, so we're talking about people from all walks of life, all of the globe.
Exactly. And they're all connecting with these AI characters.
That's amazing. It's like
Yeah.
Character.AI is bridging cultural divides.
It's a universal language.
I love that. So it's more than just a fun app or a technological marvel.
It's a potential catalyst for social change.
Okay, so how is this playing out in the real world?
Well, we're seeing Character.AI being integrated into schools, workplaces, and all sorts of institutions.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Well, for starters, teachers are using it to create interactive lessons.
Oh, wow. So students can actually chat with historical figures.
Yeah. Imagine instead of just reading about Marie Curie in a textbook.
You could actually have a conversation with her.
Exactly. It brings history to life.
And what about businesses?
Businesses are using it to train employees on how to handle difficult situations.
Oh, that's smart.
It's a safe space to practice those tough conversations.
So it's like a virtual training ground for real-world interaction.
Exactly. And writers are using it to brainstorm ideas, get feedback, and even overcome writer's block.
Wait, hold on. How does the AI help with writer's block?
It can analyze your writing style and offer prompts to get you unstuck.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like having a personal writing coach.
Right at your fingertips, 24/7.
So the applications are pretty diverse?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And we're still discovering new ways to use it every day.
It's like Character.AI is becoming this Swiss Army knife for communication and self-discovery.
I like that analogy.
But with all this talk about innovation and potential, let's take a step back.
Okay.
Why should people really care about Character.AI?
On a practical level, it's a tool that can help us learn, grow, and connect.
But I think there's something even deeper going on here.
I agree. I think Character.AI is forcing us to ask some really big questions.
Like what?
Like, what does it mean to be human in an age of AI?
Okay, unpack that for me. What kind of questions are we talking about?
Well, what do we value most in our interactions with others?
Is it authenticity? Shared experience?
Emotional resonance?
Or are we willing to accept a different kind of connection?
One that's mediated by technology but still meaningful.
It's like we're rewriting the rules of engagement.
Redefining what it means to have a relationship.
A friendship, even a community.
Exactly. And it raises questions about identity.
Like if we can create AI characters that reflect different parts of ourselves.
What does that say about who we really are?
Whoa, those are some deep philosophical water.
I know, right? But these are questions we need to be asking ourselves.
Especially as AI becomes more and more integrated into our lives.
Absolutely. We can't just blindly embrace new technology.
We need to consider its impact on our lives and on society.
Character.AI is a powerful tool. But like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
It's up to us to decide how we use it.
And how we shape its development.
So Character.AI is more than just a fun app.
It's a potential catalyst for social change.
But what about the future of the technology itself? Where is Character.AI headed?
Well, the creators are constantly pushing the boundaries.
What can we expect to see in the coming years?
One of the most exciting developments is the integration of augmented reality and virtual reality.
Wait, hold on. Does that mean we'll be able to actually see these AI characters?
Yeah, like right there in the room with us.
In 3D.
Exactly.
Hit.
Imagine putting on a VR headset and having a coffee with an AI that looks and feels like a real person.
That's insane. It's like something out of a movie.
But it also raises concerns about blurring the lines between reality and virtuality.
How do we know what's real and what's not?
That's a valid concern, and the developers are working to ensure the VR experience is both immersive and ethical.
So it's about finding that balance between escapism and engagement.
Between fantasy and reality.
Using technology to expand our horizons but not lose ourselves in the process.
Exactly.
But at its core, Character.AI is still a communication platform.
It's about connecting with others.
So what does this mean for the future of communication?
Are we headed towards a world where we're interacting with AI as much as we interact with real people?
And if so, what does that mean for our relationships, our sense of community?
It raises a lot of interesting questions about how we define connection, intimacy, even love.
I think we need a moment to let that sink in.
Yeah, there's a lot to process.
We've covered so much in this deep dive.
The technical aspects, the social impact, even the philosophical implications.
We have explored the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why of Character.AI.
But there's one question we haven't really tackled yet.
And what's that?
How does this thing actually work?
Okay, you're right. We've touched on it, but let's break it down.
How do these AI characters learn and evolve?
It feels like magic, but there's got to be some serious science behind it, right?
You got it. It's not magic, though. I can feel like it.
So tell me, how does it work?
At the heart of Character.AI is a powerful language model.
A type of AI that's trained on a massive amount of data.
A massive amount. We're talking about every book, every article, every website.
Even social media posts.
Every tweet, every line of code ever created.
It's like they've absorbed the entire collective knowledge of humanity.
It's pretty close to that.
So they've used all that information to learn about language concepts, even human behavior.
Yeah, they've essentially created their own understanding of the world.
But they're not just repeating what they've learned, right?
Not at all. They're using that knowledge to create something new.
To generate their own responses, their own stories, even their own thoughts.
That's the amazing part. It's both exhilarating and a little unsettling.
I agree. It really challenges our ideas about creativity and intelligence.
What does it even mean to be human when AI can do this?
And the technology is evolving so quickly.
It's becoming more sophisticated,
Yeah.
more nuanced, more human-like every day.
Which raises a lot of ethical questions.
Big ones. Are we creating something we won't be able to control?
It's like opening Pandora's box.
It's a valid concern. But the developers of Character.AI are aware of these risks
They're working to ensure the technology is used responsibly and ethically.
for the benefit of humanity.
I'm glad to hear that, because I have to admit I'm a little torn.
I get it.
On one hand, I'm fascinated by the possibilities.
But on the other hand,
I'm a little apprehensive about the potential consequences.
that's a lot to process. So what advice would you give to someone who's just starting to explore Character.AI?
What should they keep in mind?
Go in with an open mind, a sense of curiosity, and a healthy dose of skepticism.
Don't be afraid to experiment. But remember, you're interacting with a machine.
A very sophisticated machine, but still a machine.
We can't lose ourselves in the illusion, no matter how compelling it might be.
Right. It's about finding that balance between the real and the virtual.
Between the human and the artificial.
That's the key.
And I think we've done a pretty good job of exploring that balance in this deep dive.
We've covered a lot of ground.
From the technical aspects to the social impact to the philosophical implications.
It's been quite a journey,
And we've only just scratched the surface.
which is what makes it so exciting.
So to wrap things up,
Okay.
is Character.AI our new AI BFF or something more profound?
I think it's both and neither.
Okay.
It's a tool, a mirror, a challenge, a glimpse into the future.
It's a reflection of who we are and a catalyst for who we might become.
It's up to us to decide how we want to use it, how we want to shape it.
And how we want to integrate it into our lives in a way that benefits everyone.
Exactly.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this part of our deep dive. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back soon to continue our exploration of Character.AI.
We'll see you then.
Until then, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep those brains buzzing.
And remember, the future is not something that happens to us. It's something we create.
So let's create a future that's both intelligent and humane.
A future where technology serves humanity.
Not the other way around.
Exactly.
So spill the tea. How are people actually using this tech out in the wild?
Well, for starters, teachers are using Character.AI to create interactive lessons where students can chat with historical figures or literary characters.
Oh, wow. So instead of just reading about, say, Marie Curie in a textbook,
Yeah.
students can actually have a conversation with her. That's amazing.
Exactly. It brings history and literature to life in a way that traditional teaching methods just can't match.
It's like stepping into a time machine.
And businesses are using it to prototype customer service interactions and train employees on how to handle difficult situations.
That makes a lot of sense. It's a safe space to practice those tricky conversations and develop those all-important soft skills.
Exactly. And writers are using it to brainstorm ideas, get feedback on their work, even overcome writer's block.
Hold on, how does that work? Does the AI actually offer suggestions for plot points or character development?
It can. It's not just about spitting out random words. The AI can analyze your writing style, understand the themes you're exploring, and even offer prompts that help you break through those creative barriers.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like having a personal writing coach available 24/7.
It's a pretty powerful tool for anyone who wants to improve their writing or simply explore their creativity.
And it's not just limited to those specific fields, right? I've heard of therapists using it to help patients practice social skills, language learners using it to have conversations in their target language, and even people using it to cope with loneliness or social anxiety.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The applications of this technology are still being explored, and it seems like every day we're discovering new ways to use it.
It's almost like Character.AI is becoming this Swiss army knife of communication and self-discovery.
I like that analogy.
But with all this talk about innovation and potential, it's easy to get swept away by the excitement. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Why should people really care about Character.AI?
Well, on a practical level, it's a tool that can help us learn, grow, and connect in ways that weren't possible before.
Right. We've talked about all the amazing applications across different fields, from education to business to personal development. But I think there's something even deeper at play here.
I agree. I think Character.AI is forcing us to confront some fundamental questions about what it means to be human in an age of increasingly sophisticated artificial intelligence.
Okay, unpack that for me a bit. What kinds of questions are we talking about?
Well, for starters, it makes us question what we value most in our interactions with others.
Yeah.
Is it authenticity, shared experience, emotional resonance, or are we willing to accept a different kind of connection, one that's mediated by technology but still feels meaningful?
It's like we're rewriting the rules of engagement. redefining what it means to have a relationship, a friendship, even a sense of community.
Exactly. And it's raising questions about the nature of identity and selfhood. If we can create AI characters that reflect different aspects of ourselves, what does that say about who we are? Are we simply the sum of our experiences, our memories, our beliefs? Or is there something more to us that can't be replicated by algorithms, no matter how sophisticated they become?
Those are some pretty deep philosophical waters we're wading into here. But I think these are questions that we need to be asking ourselves, especially as AI continues to evolve and become more integrated into our lives.
Absolutely. We can't just blindly embrace new technology without considering its potential impact on our individual and collective consciousness. Character.AI is a powerful tool, but like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill. It's up to us to decide how we want to use it, how we want to shape its development, and how we want to integrate it into our lives in a way that benefits humanity as a whole.
That's a lot of responsibility, but it's also incredibly exciting. We're literally at the forefront of a technological revolution, and Character.AI is giving us a glimpse into what the future might hold.
And it's a future that's full of both promise and peril. But one thing is for sure, it's a future that we're creating together, one line of code, one conversation, one choice at a time.
Okay, so we've talked about the impact of Character.AI on individuals, on society, and even on our understanding of what it means to be human. But what about the future of the technology itself? Where is Character.AI headed? What are the next frontiers?
Well, the creators of Character.AI are certainly not resting on their laurels. They're constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI, and they have some pretty ambitious plans for the future.
Do tell. What can we expect to see in the coming years?
One of the most exciting developments is the integration of augmented reality and virtual reality, VR technologies, into the platform.
Wait, hold on. Does that mean we'll be able to actually see and interact with these AI characters in a 3D environment? Like they'll be right there in the room with us?
Exactly. Imagine putting on a VR headset and having a conversation with an AI character that looks and feels just like a real person, sitting across from you at a virtual cafe or walking alongside you on a virtual nature trail.
That's mind-blowing. It's like something out of a science fiction movie. But wouldn't that blur the lines between reality and virtuality even further? I mean, how would we know what's real and what's not?
That's a valid concern, and it's one that the developers are taking very seriously. They're working on ways to ensure that the VR experience is both immersive and ethical, that it enhances our understanding of the world without undermining our grasp on reality.
So it's about finding that balance between escapism and engagement, between fantasy and reality.
Exactly. It's about using technology to expand our horizons, to connect with others in new and meaningful ways, and to explore the full potential of human consciousness.
But with all these amazing possibilities, it's easy to lose sight of the fact that Character.AI at its core is a communication platform.
You're right. It's about connecting with others, whether those others are human or AI.
So what does this mean for the future of communication? Are we headed towards a world where we're interacting with AI characters as often as we interact with real people?
It's certainly a possibility. And it raises all sorts of interesting questions about how we define connection, intimacy, and even love in an age of increasingly sophisticated artificial intelligence.
Wow. I think we need to take a deep breath and let that sink in for a moment. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the technical underpinnings of Character.AI to its potential impact on society, culture, and even our own sense of self.
We've explored the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why.
But there's one question we haven't tackled yet.
And what's that?
The how. We've talked about the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why of Character.AI, but what about how? How does this thing actually work? How do these AI characters learn and evolve? It feels like magic, but there's got to be some serious science behind it, right?
You're absolutely right. It's not magic, though. It can feel like it sometimes. At the heart of Character.AI is a powerful language model, a type of artificial intelligence that's been trained on a massive data set of text and code.
Okay, so we've touched on this before, but let's break it down a bit further. We're talking about a lot of data.
Oh yeah. Imagine a digital library that contains every book ever written, every article ever published, every blog post, every tweet, every line of code ever created. That's essentially the scale of the data set these AI characters are learning from.
Whoa, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So these AI characters have essentially absorbed the entire collective knowledge of humanity.
In a way, yes. They've ingested all of that information and used it to develop their own understanding of language concepts and even human behavior.
But they're not just parrots, right? They're not just regurgitating information. They're actually creating something new, something unique.
Exactly. They're using that vast database of knowledge to generate their own responses, to craft their own stories, to express their own thoughts, for lack of a better word. It's really quite remarkable.
It's like they're taking all of human history, all of human creativity, and remixing it into something entirely new. It's both exhilarating and a little bit unsettling, wouldn't you say?
I think it's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
It definitely challenges our preconceived notions about creativity, intelligence, and what it means to be human.
And it's happening at an incredible pace. The technology is constantly evolving, becoming more sophisticated, more nuanced, more, dare I say, human-like.
It is, and that raises all sorts of ethical and philosophical questions that we as a society need to grapple with.
Right. Like, are we opening Pandora's box here? Are we creating something that we might not be able to control?
It's a valid concern, and it's one that the developers of Character.AI are acutely aware of. They're working hard to ensure that this technology is used responsibly, ethically, and for the betterment of humanity.
Well, that's reassuring. But I have to admit, I'm still a little bit torn. On the one hand, I'm fascinated by the possibilities. On the other hand, I'm a little bit apprehensive about the potential consequences.
I understand. It's a lot to process. But I think it's important to approach this technology with a sense of both wonder and caution. We need to be mindful of the risks, but we also need to be open to the potential benefits.
So what advice would you give to someone who's just dipping their toes into the world of Character.AI? What should they keep in mind?
I would say go in with an open mind, a sense of curiosity, and a healthy dose of skepticism. Don't be afraid to experiment, to explore, to push the boundaries. But always remember that you're interacting with a machine, a very sophisticated machine, but a machine nonetheless.
Right. It's important to maintain that distinction, that awareness. We can't afford to lose ourselves in the illusion, no matter how compelling it may be.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance, that equilibrium between the real and the virtual, between the human and the artificial.
Well, I think we've done a pretty good job of exploring that balance in this deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground, from the technical intricacies of Character.AI to its potential impact on our relationships, our society, and even our understanding of what it means to be human.
It's been quite a journey, and I think we've only just scratched the surface.
And that's what makes it so exciting, so thought-provoking, so full of possibility. So, to wrap things up, is Character.AI our new AI BFF, or is it something more profound?
I think it's both and neither. It's a tool, a mirror, a challenge, a glimpse into the future. It's a reflection of who we are and a catalyst for who we might become. It's up to us to decide how we want to use it, how we want to shape it, and how we want to integrate it into our lives in a way that benefits humanity as a whole.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into Character.AI. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration of the world around us. Until then, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep those brains buzzing.
And remember, the future is not something that happens to us. It's something we create. So let's create a future that's both intelligent and humane. A future where technology serves humanity, not the other way around.